Good morning, everybody. How you doing today? Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone here is ready for 2151. Yeah, definitely. Gotta have your coffee. Sorry, I'm running a minute late here. I did not start my pot of coffee early enough. It wasn't done yet. So, all right. We're going to start off right here. Yeah, thanks. Glad you guys all found the place here. All right, a dad joke. Scholar, you got it. You got it. So I collect these dad jokes here because they amuse me. So, I've got 6 kids, so I'm pretty practiced at telling some of these jokes. This one's okay. So, some of them are better than others. So just, so I don't want to set the expectations too high or anything. So I was out garage sailing. This was before the pandemic when you could go places and talk to people and do all this stuff. And someone had this really nice stereo system for sale. And I was thinking it would probably be time to upgrade mine because, I had the real tiny CD player and didn't really have a nice way to play CDs or anything. Are CDs still a thing? I guess this was quite a while ago when people still had CDs and didn't stream all their music from Echo Dots or Google Homes or Apple whatever's. Apple Minis, Pods, I forget what Apple calls theirs. But so it was a pretty good deal. It was only like $20 for this, the nice big system with some the external speakers and all this stuff. But the problem was that the volume button was stuck on full. They said everything else is great, but you just can't turn the volume down. The speakers were okay, so maybe if I could fix that one piece, it'd be okay. And I thought to myself, I just can't turn that down. All right. Anyway, I'm Eric Chinesky. Welcome on in. We might have a couple folks from the Thursday night session hanging out with us in the mornings, or if the mornings don't work as well for you guys, I also have a Thursday night 6 to 10 session. Although I don't think we're going to run until 10 ever. 4 hours of sitting there watching me write code and talk about code tends to drag a little while here. So this will be the primary sessions we'll do in the mornings, 10 to almost noon, Tuesday, Thursday. And then on Thursday nights, we'll probably only go about 2 hours or so, and then I'll tell people, oh, hey, if you want more content, go look at this recorded video that we did just this morning on Thursday. I tend to lose people if we go too long, so that'll be the goal. So if Thursday night works better, great. If you can't make it in person, that's cool too. We can be fully asynchronous for almost everything here in the course. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So, all right, let's take a peek at our syllabus here. Just the Thursday afternoon web system development course. That one is 1 to 3-ish is my plan to be live for that one. And then with some little supplemental asynchronous content. It's meant to be 1 to almost 5. And it just makes for a long time. So you found me. I am Eric Chinesky. I have a little profile out here in D2L. You can go read all about me or Google me. Hopefully you guys had a chance to do that. You should always Google all your teachers. It's just good practice. This is my official OCC email. It does come to my phone here, which is in my pocket almost all the time. So it's pretty easy to get a hold of me. I do have a phone on campus, but I'm actually a new faculty member as of last semester, and getting hired during the pandemic is just really weird. Oh, thanks, Mindful. Um, yeah, it's just weird. So I've never been to the Orchard Ridge campus since I got hired as a full-time faculty member. I've been an adjunct and I've been on campus several times, back through 2012, I want to say, was my first year adjuncting. So I've been there, but I don't use that desk phone, and the voicemail recording should tell you, please don't leave me messages, call my cell phone, if you do happen to find that one. But this is my cell, so feel free to call me. I'm usually up most days by 8 a.m. or so, maybe 9, depending on the day, what's going on. But I'm a very late night owl type of person, so feel free to call me anytime up through midnight. That should be fine. You're not going to be waking me up. But I do have 6 kids, and I keep really busy, so if I don't answer, leave me a voicemail and let me know what time is okay to call you back. Some people like when I call them back at 11 p.m. Some people get really upset with me when I call them at 11 p.m. because they're trying to sleep. So just let me know. I've got drop-in office hours. These are times dedicated where I'm just hanging out waiting for people to show up to talk to me. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if those times don't work, you can schedule an appointment with me. I can probably make some times work, but I'll do my best. So my plan for that was to just hang out on Discord. I think a lot of you found our Discord server. That's great. So I've got channels for each class. I've got a memes channel if you want to drop some memes in there. Those are always fun. Safe for work memes though, please. And I can always fire up Zoom, but Discord's great. You can even screen share right inside of Discord. So I'm a fan of it. And if you haven't been able to tell by now, I'm not as big of a fan of Zoom. Although, there's nothing wrong with Zoom. It's just we have other tools, and I'm fond of other tools. So, again, this is the Tuesday, Thursday section. We'll go not quite to 11:50 most days, if I can help it. We'll get close, though. We've got stuff to do. If this were an in-person format, we would have time each class where you guys could try the things in the computers in the lab, and then I could walk around and help you, which is a little sad. I don't get a chance to do that, so that's not happening. But so we might not take the entire amount of time. I might end maybe like 11:30 and say, hey guys, go try this thing. But it depends on the day. So today we'll probably go to 11:50. I've got a bunch of stuff to talk about and to show you guys and just to level set. So NetBeans, yeah. We'll be using NetBeans. JGrass was probably fine for most of the stuff you did in 1500, but we'll be needing NetBeans for this course. We're going to be doing more things than JGrass can handle. So I've got instructions on installing all this stuff. If you guys need help with that later, I can definitely help you. And I'll walk you through it. I like to call myself we a lot. I apologize. It's a bad habit of mine. All right, so this was hopefully copy-pasted out of the course catalog. Shouldn't be a surprise. 1500 was the prereq. And then specific things that we're going to do. We go deeper into a lot of these things, specifically about how Java works, modules are compiled, executed, inheritance, composition, polymorphism, access specifiers, abstract classes, and interfaces. So you probably covered just briefly inheritance in 1500. And again, I'm still learning the different ways everybody else teaches it. It makes for a little bit of fun. But we're going to be doing more with it, getting into abstract classes and interfaces as well are lots of fun. And those are core concepts in object-oriented programming. We'll look at some static class members versus instance fields. Again, just a little deeper work in that. Exception handling, including user-defined exceptions. I am a huge fan of exceptions. You might not have done that in 1500 unless you had my class where I talked to you about it. I didn't ever require it because, again, we'll get to it here, but I just wish we started those earlier. Stream, input, output, buffered and non-buffered, sequential, and random file operations with text and binary content. This is all sorts of how we read and write from files. Lots of cool ways of doing that. We'll spend some time on files. We're not going to use Swing. We're going to use JavaFX. It's a GUI, graphical user interface components, layouts, events handlings, and we're going to write a more interesting graphical user interface program. We'll look at basic Java annotations like add override. And lastly, yes, we'll use Scene Builder. I'm a big fan of Scene Builder and graphical tools for building things. Code-generated UI is still cool, and there's nothing wrong with it, but if we can just drag and drop stuff, it's a little easier. Design documentation like UML class diagrams, and then we'll finish off the class with a little chat on design patterns, which is fantastic. This will set you up in a good place. So hopefully none of that was a surprise, the topics we're going to cover. The textbook, depending on which section you're in, we were either using the 6th or the 7th edition here of Gaddis. So we had a weird out of syncness happen here, where the Orchard Ridge campus was still using the 6th edition in the fall. Yeah, the same book from 1500. And all the other campuses, or I think just Auburn Hills is the only other campus that teaches 1500, moved to the 7th. So at Orchard Ridge, we said, oh, well, usually we use the same book twice for both classes, so we can stick with the 6th or move to the 7th. You definitely don't need to upgrade if you have the 6th, or if you have the 7th, you don't need to go buy the 6th. Either one will be okay. We're basically going to ignore the swing chapters and use the Java FX chapters. That's the reason we mostly moved to the 7th. So you'll have quizzes over every chapter that come out of the textbook. That's your main source of reference. Yeah, that's right, a pineapple on the cover. Thank you for the 6th edition. So I'd strongly recommend you guys get the textbook. I've been told if you do some Googling, you could probably find it. But again, Mr. Gaddis put a lot of work into this, and Pearson likes to take your money, which is a little sad. But you can find it if you work hard enough, and I don't even think you have to work that hard. But you can get it from our bookstore. You can get it from Amazon, whatever. If you want to make sure the author gets a little bit of money for it. So 6th or 7th is fine. I put all the PowerPoint slides that the book gives to instructors out on D2L. They're not for sharing, FYI, and I think they've got that last slide and all in their little copyright notice. I don't use them. I would rather just talk to you guys and show you other examples, because if I read the book to you, then the book's not giving you other examples to help you guys understand these topics. So if I show you one way and the book shows you a second way, then you're more likely to get a little more understanding on these topics. So strongly recommend you get a copy of it, because the quizzes will come from the chapters in addition to stuff that I say to you. So I'll show you in just a minute. We're going to have quizzes over every chapter, and anything from the book is fair game for those. The quizzes are open book, open notes. They're not timed in a sense where like you don't hit start and you get an hour before you have to turn it in. So you can have all week to do it. So typically what will happen is I'll cover a chapter in a week, and then the quiz will be due the next week. So you'll have about a week or so to finish these things. So they're open book, open notes, quizzes. It's your incentive to go read in the book, and it'll help prep you for the midterm. So 6th or 7th will be fine. I've got all the slides for you guys if you need them. Let me know if you have questions. All right, this tools list. This looks a little daunting. I promise it's not so bad, and it's fantastic. They're all good tools. So for as long as I can remember doing, when I've been teaching programming classes, maybe not my first year or two, but probably for a good 5 years or so now, I've been having everyone use GitHub. GitHub is a hosting provider of the Git source control system. That's the Git piece. They're the hub of it, and that's what they sell as their service. They were recently bought by Microsoft. I guess not even all that recently. Within the last 2 years or so, they were bought by Microsoft, and they have some great free plan options out there for private repositories. Private meaning not everyone gets to see it. Public means everyone gets to see it. So like our open source technology is typically in public repositories where just everyone can see it because it's open source. You can go see the source code. And I will use the desktop GitHub client. Again, your IDEs like NetBeans and other tools can integrate with Git directly and talk to GitHub, but then when you change languages or change IDEs, it's all different. So I like that GitHub at least is the consistent piece between whether or not I'm teaching C++ or teaching Python or teaching Java or C# or whatever else we might be doing. So we'll be using GitHub for that. And just another reminder here, GitHub, Discord, and Twitch are all public services. They're all open to the public. So whatever your username is on GitHub is public information. Discord is public information. Twitch is public information, as you guys have seen as you're chatting here. Right? So use whatever username and handle you prefer. I don't care, because when you turn something into D2L, that's going to associate it with the real person. So the only place I'm going to see your real names is in D2L. And that should work out well. So I'll show you guys how to do this. And the cool thing about GitHub and the desktop client is you can install it on the virtual desktops that we offer here at OCC, in case installing all the stuff locally just doesn't work very well for you. All right, you guys managed to find Twitch here. Good job. Hopefully this will work well. A little backstory to that. I had actually, and I'm sorry if you've heard this story before, if you had my 1500 class, but I had been teaching a lot more at U of M Dearborn, and I had a class where it was a night class. So it was a 3-credit night class, so it wasn't quite as long, which it was almost the same amount of content. So we went to 9 p.m. almost all the time. But someone had said in those course reviews that you guys do, those anonymous end of semester survey things, that I was like a squirrel with an adrenaline shot. And that's because I drink a lot of coffee. You can see this is my lovely mug here. I'm going to go refill this shortly when we take a break. So I can go a little fast. And someone said it'd be nice if they could like watch it again or record it. And I've been a big nerd, and I like watching people play games and stuff. So I've been on Twitch for years and years, watching other people do stuff. And I thought, hey, I could probably do that too. And what's cool is that when I'm done streaming on Twitch, there's the VOD available right away that you can go watch. I was like, sure, okay. So that way you can go back to it. And Twitch only keeps it, I think, for about 45 days or so, which I thought was plenty of time. Although one time someone upset me. Yes, we will take a break in a little bit, Snake, for sure. Someone was upset that like a video from the second week of class wasn't available when they took their final exam. And okay, sure. So I will export these to YouTube when I'm done as well. It takes a little while for YouTube to process them, but YouTube does a decent job captioning me. I was actually kind of impressed. Sorry, I've got 2 monitors and they're stacked. So I have my laptop right in front of me here. That's like this camera I'm pointing at right there. And then you guys are up on the second monitor that's stacked above it. So if it keeps looking like I'm up and down, chat is like just above the webcam on the second monitor here. So I'm sorry if that's giving you motion sickness, but yeah, it was actually a lot easier than I thought to start streaming here. OBS is open source as well. Pretty sure OBS is open source. Yeah, OBS Studio, I think it is. Or it's free, whatever it was. That's not even like a fancy one. I know other streamers use other tools that give you a lot more features and notification built in and whatnot. And I apologize, I'm not that fancy. So I just have it up and running, and then I figured out how to have my little pause screen in here so I can go starting soon or back. So that was fun. Anyway, we're going to be using NetBeans, so just get the latest and greatest version. It's relatively quick to install. If you have never done Java before, I'll be confused because you probably had to take 1500 to get into the course. So hopefully you have Java installed and it's not too mad at you. We're going to be using the OpenJDK Java library. So it is version 15, I believe, is the JDK 15 here. So you can just download the zip and then you unzip it. And then we can tell NetBeans, hey, go use this Java version over here. Why this is important is we're going to use the OpenJFX libraries. So we're going to use JavaFX. We're going to use the open versions. Remember there was that split a while back after Oracle bought Java. They said, hey, we want you guys to pay us money if you want to use Java for commercial purposes. which was a big break in how Java had previously been run, but you can use the open versions instead of the Oracle versions, and it's honestly it's a little bit of a mess and I get confused. Oops. Okay, I think I got package delivered since someone was at my door. Sorry, I should put my phone on mute here. All right. So we're going to try and use the open source ones. We're welcome as students to use the official Oracle commercial versions for non-commercial purposes. We're allowed to do that, but I think it'd just be cool to show you the open versions that if you ever want to sell these sorts of things that you do. Again, our projects are not going to be that cool and interesting, but you're set up to go, and you can write some software and sell it, which is fun. And we'll be using Scene Builder to do the graphical user interface component side of things, which is really nice, and really sad that it's not like built in. But Scene Builder works, and we've got all those tools also available on the virtual desktop you guys have access to if it doesn't work well for you locally. The virtual desktop's decent. I had some trouble with Scene Builder, like anything drag and drop was awkward for me, but other than that, it mostly worked and everything was installed, so it worked out pretty well. Okay, I think it says my bit rate's bad, but I think we're good still. Let me just pull up Stream Inspector real quick. Inspector. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Had the wrong link there. So yesterday, I got a little bit laggy here. I don't know if my kids were doing other stuff online or what. So let's try to keep an eye on that today. Should be good. Yeah, okay, we're pretty solid. 2,000 kilobits. Okay, cool. So their stream manager dashboard sometimes gets confused. Anyway, those are all the tools we're going to be using. I'll show you guys how to install them if you have any questions. Hopefully you have them from 1500. I know not everybody used NetBeans. Is that true? Depending on who you had for 1500. So if you do have trouble with that, let me know. If you only have the OpenJDK, NetBeans is grumpy sometimes, and you have to tell it where that lives. But you should be fine. I can help you through it if you need it. Okay, course-specific policies on plagiarism and cheating. This is a big pet peeve of mine. And it should be one of yours as well, because if one of your fellow classmates gets the same degree as you and they cheated, when they get hired, they're going to suck. And the people who hired them are going to think we do a terrible job getting people educated. So if you cheat, you should not get degrees. Cheaters shouldn't get degrees. I firmly believe that. And OCC, if I recall correctly, has a 3-strike policy. So if you were reported 3 times in engaging in academic dishonesty, you will likely be expelled from the college and not welcome to be a student here anymore. And more universities are taking that stance as well, because they realize it just hurts everything overall to have people who are academically dishonest. So if you engage in academic dishonesty, you will immediately fail the course and be reported to the dean's office. There are no, you get a 0 for the assignment, there's not, you just get a penalty, you will immediately fail. You may not pass this course by cheating, and that you have to deal with the dean. And the dean's office is the one who tracks this 3-strike policy, and they get to manage all that fun stuff. I really hate filling out this paperwork. The paperwork to report academic dishonesty is long and tedious, and I have to document all sorts of things, and they're probably the worst thing since TPS cover sheets. So please don't make me do this. Last semester, I had to fail 3 people for cheating on their final project. And I was actually upset, like just angry that people would try and cheat. I don't know. Just don't do it, please. If you're not sure, ask me. You have all sorts of ways of getting a hold of me. No, you cannot have your stapler back, Big E. You may not have the stapler back. We've confiscated your stapler. So if you're not sure, all you have to do is ask me. Okay? I don't expect you guys to memorize anything. None of our projects, none of our quizzes, none of our exams are closed book, closed notes, closed internet. Right? I understand as software developers, we make a lot of money finding things online. and then implementing those solutions. What's different here is we're in the academic environment and you have to cite your source. Right? The most common thing that happens is people plagiarize. Yeah, for sure. Zoom calls, or we can hop on a Discord. You can direct message, and we can do video or voice chat on Discord as well. So, for sure. That's why I've got the dedicated office hours for that, Mindful. So, plagiarism is when you present someone else's ideas, data, words, images, or products without giving credit to them. If you copy-paste someone's code and don't tell me where you got it from, I'm assuming it's yours. Everything that you give me this semester, I'm assuming is your original work. Unless you tell me otherwise. That's the giving credit to the originator. And I'll show you how to do this. It's not hard. We're going to leave a little code comment and say, hey, I got it here. If I'm dumb enough to give you an assignment that had a solution online, you can give me the solution you found online. That's my fault, right? But you have to cite your source. So I try and do some Googling when I come up with these stupid assignments. And I say stupid in a kind way, because they're just made to be weird and silly and not Googleable with weird numbers and requirements and whatever else. So if you can find it, great. Give credit to the originator. That's okay. I had one final exam where one person did cite their source because I didn't Google well enough and there was a solution online. 8 people did not. Those 8 people failed. And it was really sad. 7 of the 8 of them thought they were clever, and they renamed a couple variables to make it harder for me to find that they took their solution from someone else. I don't always catch that, but this time I did, and they all failed and had 1 or more strikes against them now through the dean's office. So please don't do that. Like, just ask me. All you have to do is ask, okay? And I'm pretty much always going to tell you, hey, if you found it, just cite your source, we're cool. I mean, the idea is that you're doing some of your own work and you're like understanding some of these code concepts and applying them. So that's the goal there. But sure. Oh, thank you, Code. I got to hydrate. I'm almost out of this tumbler. I got another pot going downstairs. I might have to switch over. Hydrate. 6, 7 of them. Oh my. All right, I'm out of that one. Let me switch to this one here. All right. I don't make money for these, but it's an energy drink. They're pretty tasty. It's ginger flavored, which I thought was really cool. I love ginger, like ginger ale and stuff. So it is spicy ginger. This drink. Nah. I just need some sip. I'll go downstairs and get some more coffee in a minute. Which someone told me coffee was not hydrating because of the caffeine. I suppose that's true. But I'm going to keep drinking the coffee or my energy drink here because it's early. All right. Oh my. All right. Thanks for redeeming those points. Woo. Man, you guys are making sure I'm not thirsty. It's the sodium, not the caffeine. I thought because caffeine was a diuretic or something. I don't think I want to chug this one. A posture check. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I do actually have a really bad posture. Sitting in a crappy office chair hours and hours and hours and hours and hours a day is not good for your back if you don't sit well. So I found this cool thing. You can like lay on it too, which is nice. But I put it behind my back and it hurts if you don't sit right. It's got these little pokey things on it. The funniest thing that like you try and hurt yourself, just gently. So, yes. All right. Yeah. The other pieces here of academic dishonesty is sharing tests, other materials, and this is people who aid and abet. That's such weird language here out of our OCC handbook. But that means if you give someone else your project because they said, "Oh, I just want to look at it here," but then you're guilty as well. So if someone asks you, tell them no. They do their own work. Scene Builder isn't starting. I would have to take a look. We could probably do a screen share another time, Snake, and see what's going on with it. The student code of handbook code of conduct out of the handbook. This is copy paste. Again, we're not in class. We're not in corridors, so sorry, but it's just there. All right, the interesting stuff. What people typically care about. I did have one person tell me that this was confusing in the end of semester feedback. So I think I just didn't explain it well last time. The idea here is that you have categories of assignments here, and they contribute an overall weight to your final score. So 50% of your overall grade will come from your projects that you guys are going to do, your homework. 10% of your overall score will come from the quizzes, 15% from the midterm, and thankfully we can have a final project instead of a final exam. So the only test you have is the midterm. That's the only time-bound test that we're going to have, just to make that one a little bit more fair, because I have to do it all on a single day to discourage people from sharing the midterm with each other. I don't know if that actually discourages it, but that was sort of the idea that they told us. So you'll have a single day to start the midterm, have 2 hours to click the submit button once you click start. That way, if someone is not busy and doesn't work a job or have other responsibilities, they're not going to get 10 hours to work on it and you only get 2. So everyone will get just 2 hours on the midterm. So that's the only timed exam. It's still open book, open notes, open internet. But if you have to go Google for every question, you're not going to finish on time. That's sort of the idea here. And then the final project is 25% of your score. So 75% of your overall grade in the class comes from code you're going to write yourself and work on. The final project, I usually like to do these in pairs. Groups of 3 never seem to work as well, but pairs usually are good. But because we're not in person, I'm not going to require that. Usually I would require it, but it's remote learning time, and this is just hard. So if you guys want to pair up, you guys are welcome to pair up for the final project, but I'm not going to require it. So that one can be in pairs. Everything else, the projects will be individual, but 75% of your score comes from your code that you write and turn in. 10% for the quizzes. They're open book, open notes. You've got lots of time for it. So 85% comes from non-exam things that are essentially not time-bound. So hopefully that helps you feel better about this. I know I always hated exams in school, and it just seems like they're way too high stakes. So it's only 15%, which is still a decent chunk here, but I think you guys will be successful. And I'll give you a practice exam, and we'll do some whole review. Sweet team, I'm sorry, I'm taken. Sorry, I can't pair up. Oh, you meant for coding, I'm sorry. The grading scale here, this should be standard, so if you're aiming for a particular letter, this is the percentage you need to get. Everything will be in D2L. If you guys don't turn in the first project, you'll essentially be confirming you get an N grade. The first one is just the chance for us to make sure all the tools work. Not quite a hello world, because this is Java 2, or the second Java course, but a small basic program we're going to talk about on Thursday. A late policy, I say NA here because I don't take projects late. Because what's going to happen is when we do projects, I'm going to go over the solution in class. So when they're due at 10 a.m. on a given day, at probably by 10:05 or so, I'm already going over the solution. So I can't take them late. There is no partial credit. There's no sliding scale. There's no penalties. It's just, if it's not in on time, there's no credit. Right? The flip side is you'll have at least 2 weeks, except for project 1, or the first project. All the other projects you'll have at least 2 weeks to work on. So I don't expect it to be a big problem. They got rid of the PogChamp emote? Oh, that's a bummer. Other things about FERPA, I don't talk about you to anybody, including non-OCC emails. So all the emails are supposed to go through OCC emails. I'll respond to any email you have, but if it's not an OCC email, I can't actually give any grade information. It'll be much more general information, which is perfectly fine most of the time. And anyway, if you want grade information, I'm going to say it's in D2L. Go look at D2L. Right? If you need specific accommodations, make sure you're in touch with the Access office. They'll send me the paperwork. I think probably the only thing it's going to apply to is the midterm. That's a timed exam. So if you typically need additional time on exams for reasons and your paperwork's on file with Access, let me know, because I can set that up in D2L. But you've got to talk to me. Just because I get the paperwork from them doesn't mean it's automatic. It means, yes, I can have that conversation with you. Okay? The Academic Support Center is phenomenal. That's one of my favorite things about OCC here. We have this whole office dedicated to academic support. They have individual tutoring, which the schedule says 2019, but I'm pretty sure this is the most recent schedule. You can call them and double check. Oh, they did update it. Good. It says winter 21 here, but in the title here it says 2019. So I think they might need to take a web class or something. But this, ooh, it's tiny here. Sorry. Oh, awesome, Tim. You got on the schedule. They just updated it, right? You weren't here before, or were you here yesterday and I just didn't because I'm dumb? So we have 2 tutors specific for CIS courses. 2151 can be tutored by Rika and Tim. So these are individual appointments. Okay, they just added. Okay, I thought didn't recall seeing that last time, but that's super cool. Very excited to see that. So this is perfectly, that's a weird word to use. This is a free service that the ASC offers here, but they are by appointment, and something about if you miss too many appointments, they're going to take you off. But you'll go talk to them. Yeah, definitely. If these times work for you, that's fantastic. You can go meet with one of our amazing tutors here for individual tutoring. Now, they're not going to do the work for you, but they're going to be able to tell you where to go look to find those pieces of information that you need to get started, right? In addition to that, we are very fortunate this semester. We have a supplemental instructor. Mr. Tim is hanging out with us in class Tuesday and Thursday, and then running additional group tutoring sessions. So because we also have the Thursday night section, we've got 3 different times we're offering these group study sessions, and those will be over Zoom because you guys can actually get together and chat and discuss things and kind of work together to help each other. And Tim is phenomenal, a very talented individual with lots of experience. It's fantastic. I'll show you those times in just a minute here. And then the ASC also offers study skill seminars, if just some other general study skills and tips and tricks. Definitely worth going to. I don't give points for those, but definitely if you can make them, they're very helpful for those sorts of things. I'll get back to the SI sessions in a little bit here, but these are fantastic. I went to SI sessions when I was taking calculus, and that's one of the reasons I passed calculus. Turns out if you go back to school in your 30s, it's harder. Or maybe just because life was busier for me and I had 6 kids and a job and I was teaching, that, it was harder to learn all that math. So I'm a big fan of this. I'm super excited. We've got Tim along to help us out here. So those sessions are great. I've got office hours to answer questions. You can call, you can text, you can find me on Discord. You can email. Email still works. All those sorts of things. So I know remote learning is hard. I'm actually a student myself. I don't know if anyone actually went and read my little profile here. I'm in a Doctor of Engineering program. It's not a PhD for various reasons, but I'm still working on a dissertation, so I don't understand what's different about it, but that's a whole other story. But I actually had to drop the course I was taking over the fall, and this remote learning stuff and all the other family life things going on was crazy. I ended up getting COVID in the fall, and it was terrible. Thankfully, I got better. I had a relatively mild case, but the kids did well. So if you get a computer science degree, you're going to be taking calculus. Depending on what work you do in computer science, the calculus is helpful. If you're going straight software engineering and you're not doing anything with like hard, crazy graphics and calculating curves and the sorts of stuff, you can definitely get away without it in the software engineering world. But a typical computer science degree does require calculus. I had one person tell me it was a matter of mathematical maturity or something like that. And it tends to be if you can follow the steps and understand these mathematical processes and models and whatnot, we tend to think people are better at coding. And that's not always the case, but I think there is some sort of correlation there. I don't know if it's causation, but definitely some correlation between the two. But I would definitely recommend, if you guys are moving on to universities for 4-year degrees, take your calculus here at OCC, because the GPA portion does not transfer. That's a nice tip that unfortunately one of my friends over at U of M Dearborn found out. If you take calculus at the university level, it counts towards your overall GPA. If you take it at the community college and transfer it in, they just transfer the credit in. So especially if math is not your strong suit here, all you need is the passing score, and double check with your counselors and admissions advisors and whatnot here. But a passing score will transfer for credit and not count against your GPA that the 4-year university puts on your degree. So when you're looking for internships and whatnot, and a lot of big companies say you need at least a 3.0 to get an internship, that won't hurt you if you didn't do so well at your math classes. So that's definitely a big pro tip there. And honestly, I guess I can't say for sure because I never took calculus at the university, but I know here at OCC we do a great job of teaching it. We have a math tutoring center, we have the ASC, and you can get lots of individualized help if you need it. And a lot of the classes have SIs as well because they're phenomenal. Anyway, that's a little divergent there, but yeah, take your math here, and it's cheaper, right? Definitely a fan of that. So I think all of my kids will be going to OCC first. That's what I did myself. I'm actually a double alumni. I have 2 degrees from OCC because of reasons. It was like 2 more classes to get the second degree. And I was like, yeah, we should do that. There were classes I wanted to take anyway. I get all sorts of alerts and things. I'm a type 1 diabetic. That means if my sugar gets too low, I get really loopy. And I've not passed out yet, thankfully, over the last 7 years, but there's a chance of it. I get all shaky and weird and stuff. So if you see me looking at my phone a lot, there's my chart of my sugar here. That's just telling me what's happening with my blood sugar. So I need to make sure it stays in a good range, because if it goes too high, it also sucks and is bad for me and kills me slowly, which is fun. But thanks to the marvels of modern medicine, I'm still alive. So thank you, insulin. All right. For D2L specific issues, we have a D2L help desk. That's like the page isn't loading sort of thing. I don't know, there's not very much that they do that's specific to the website. Anything content related, questions on the quizzes, questions about assignments, right? Turning things in, that's all me. And I'll show you, turning stuff in is actually going to be really easy because we use GitHub, which is a tool designed for code collaboration, which is fantastic. So we're going to use it. Accessibility standards, minimum text stuff, accessibility. The technology appropriate use regulations does not apply quite so much because we're not using college computers. If you're using the virtual desktops, yes, super applies, and it does apply to D2L. Don't do stupid things. You can read the whole thing, but don't break laws, and just use them for school stuff, please. Okay, and we should be pretty good. Netiquette, these tips are great. I'm a super informal person. You guys are welcome to call me Eric. I'm still not used to official titles and things and whatnot. And it's a lot easier to say than Charneski, so that's fine. Public safety, we have a great public safety department. We're not meeting in person, so probably not very applicable. All right, for me, typically, I'm hoping not to get behind this time, since I shouldn't be able to get COVID again. And we all had flu shots, and I'm hoping for a much better 2021. 2020 was crap, and I got behind on grading things, and that was sad, and I felt bad. But usually a week of the due date. So just because you get it in early, it's not a week of when you turn it in, it's a week of when it's due that I should have stuff back for graded, for the quizzes and projects and whatnot. Email, texting, Discord, whatever. If it takes more than 24 hours, please feel free to bother me again. I might have just missed it somehow. But so if you haven't heard from me in 24 hours, please try again. It's not bothering me. It's not pestering me. I might have just missed it somehow, but typically I get back to you right away. I keep some really weird hours. So like if you're looking for help at 6 in the morning, I'm probably not awake. Other than that, I'm going to do my best to get back to you right away. All right, and then our course schedule. This might change. If it does, I'll let you know. Right, that's the usual disclaimer here. So we're doing our course introduction today. On Thursday, we're going to do our review of everything you did in 1500 and talk about our first project. This is, again, not Hello World, because you guys have already done that one, but just a quick basic. Let me make sure all of your tools are set up. Let me make sure NetBeans is working for you. Let me make sure you can turn something into GitHub and that sort of thing. Then we'll do a little review of classes, again, from Chapter 6, and unit testing. You guys probably didn't do this unless you had my class for 1500. So this will be new for a lot of you. I don't know the exact numbers, but that's okay. We'll talk about unit testing. This does not work, best I can tell, in JGrasp, because it just doesn't have the right structure for it. Just get NetBeans. It works so much better in NetBeans, and NetBeans has better tools for it. And then you'll be better off later on anyway. So unit testing we'll talk about, and then we'll talk about the first real project, where you actually have to do something more interesting. Not that you're not doing something in Project Zero, but sure. So this one will be class-based and whatnot. And then we'll spend 2 weeks here on Chapter 8, looking at classes and objects, our second look, work in the next project. And then text processing, more about wrapper classes, all that I/O stuff we were doing here. And Chapter 9, you spend 2 weeks on inheritance, abstract classes, interfaces, all that sort of good stuff. This is the deep object-oriented design concepts and inheritance. And then we have winter break. We come back from winter break. We'll spend a whole session on midterm review. I'll give you a sample midterm you guys can take if you want to practice one. And then 311 will be reserved for the midterm itself. Again, you don't have to take it from 10 to noon. I'll open it up, say, midnight in the morning on 311. It'll probably be due by 11:59 p.m. I'll probably even push it out to like 1 or 2 in the morning on 312, just in case you want to start at midnight. I never do well in the morning on tests. I'm just not a morning person, and I would rather take things at night. So if that works out better for you guys, great. You can take it later at night. Yeah, system.out.println hello world. Thanks, Snake. You've passed Project Zero. Not exactly, but and then we'll continue on. We'll get into 11 with the more advanced file I/O. That's more of our binary files, our doing the random access stuff, which is really cool, and talking about exceptions. I'm a big fan of using exceptions. I wish we could have done it sooner. We try and follow along here because we have a book and it's laid out for a reason, I suppose. Then we move into graphical. So we'll spend 3 weeks here on the Java FX stuff. Again, these chapter numbers are specific to version 7. If you have version 6, he gets into Java FX in the later chapter. I'd have to look at the numbers for you, but I've got all the slides for you guys. It should have most of the info that you're going to need. Java's still used a lot of places. It's still a very, very popular language. C++ is very popular. I don't know a lot about straight C, but we do have a C++ class, so maybe it depends on where you're transferring. They might take different classes. And good news, we didn't used to have a Python class. We will, hopefully this fall, have a Python class. At U of M Dearborn, they take lots of different courses. This class will transfer as a Java credit. Our C# class will transfer as a C# credit. Unfortunately, the C# class got canceled. We just didn't have enough enrollment for it to run this winter. But no, we've been doing Java. It's still definitely a popular language for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones here. Yeah, we're going to start up Python. I don't know where it's going to transfer to yet. Hopefully we can work on those agreements with other universities to get that credit transferred over. So anyway, so we'll spend some time doing Java FX stuff, and then we'll start our final project this April 1st or so. And the final project will be due. My plan was to have presentations on 4/29. That probably, because we've got 27 of you, even at 5-6 minutes each isn't going to work as well. So I'm going to try and just put some slots out for you guys to reserve. Oh, you don't have to present. Usually we do it in front of the entire class. We could do it over Zoom if we needed to, but I feel like just logistically that might be more trouble. I'm not sure yet. But this one I was hoping to do synchronously with you guys, with you fine folks, and have you guys present your final projects. If you all pair up, this will take less time. that's a nice tip there. And we got a little bit of time reserved at the end of class for you guys to work on the final project where I can answer questions, help out with whatever I need here. And then we're going to touch on design patterns as well when we get there. All right. It only took an hour for me to read the syllabus to you. I apologize. I know you guys do know how to read, but wanted to go over some of those big highlights. And there is in D2L a quiz already. There's a syllabus quiz. The syllabus quiz will ask you, let me preview it here, make sure to do the right button. Oh, 4 of you took it already. You guys are fancy. One question, and it says, enter your name to acknowledge you have read and understand the course policy on plagiarism and cheating. All the work you submit is assumed to be your original work unless otherwise cited. So everyone will turn this in and agree to that and say, yes, they read it and they understand the policy. I get in trouble from the dean if people feel like this policy came out of nowhere, which always confuses me because it's been in my syllabus. I talk about the syllabus and people claim they had no idea that they were going to fail the course for cheating. The dean has to deal with all that crap. 5 people, thank you. Once I suspect academic dishonesty, it's really out of my hands. All I do is I file the report, do the crappy paperwork, send it over to the dean, and it's the dean's problem from there on out. I have nothing else to do with it. So I have to follow the policies in the course. Otherwise, I get in trouble for picking and choosing, and they'll say I'm choosing favorites and not being fair to failing some people and not failing other people. So if you're not sure, just ask. Just ask. It's as easy as that. Yeah, I was really, because things are open book, open notes, mindful. So I sort of understood that they're like, hey, I used the thing I found online, but if you don't cite your source, I'm assuming it's yours, and that's plagiarism. And this is college, right? You guys should understand what plagiarism is at the college level. If it, that shouldn't be a surprise, but apparently it was for some people. Oh, our group tutoring sessions. Yes, thank you. I just thanked D2L. This is a good energy drink. I'm feeling very awake now. This is good. I still can go get some more coffee from downstairs. Yeah. Weird story. Last semester, Chegg, by the way, posting my stuff on Chegg, that's posting an assignment on Chegg and then saying, oh, look, it was on the internet, there's an answer there, is cheating, right? Sharing that assignment definition and asking for someone to help is cheating, right? Just stay away from Chegg. Chegg is a terrible website. I hope they go out of business. The people who run it are terrible, terrible people, and I despise them, right? I'm sure it started off as a good idea, but it's just gone down and it's terrible. So yeah, don't use Chegg. Don't post stuff there, please. Don't give them money. They're terrible people. And the answers you get are crap. I had someone turn in an answer they got from Chegg, and it wasn't even right. So they paid money to get the wrong answer and then fail the class, which is just sad. Okay, so our group tutoring sessions are Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m., 4 to 5 p.m. for group tutoring, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Wednesdays from 6 to 7. And those will be over Zoom. Again, it's a chance you guys get together as a group with our awesome SI Tim, and you can discuss the things we've talked about in class. You can chat. My typical rule of thumb for projects is you are welcome to discuss approaches. You're welcome to discuss ideas. And I guess this is a little hard in online learning remote world, but the minute you start taking notes about what someone else did, you've probably gone too far. Does that make sense? So you can say, oh yeah, I think I was going to have a class and I'll probably have these sorts of attributes. That's all fine to discuss. But if you start taking notes and say, okay, class name this, attribute this, attribute this, attribute this, attribute this, you've probably gone too far. Okay, with copying someone else. So you're welcome to discuss it. That's perfectly fine. We've got a Discord. You guys can discuss stuff in the class channel if you guys want. But the minute you actually get into code or taking notes about someone's design, you probably have gone too far. Okay, so the group tutoring sessions are going to be great. And as an incentive for you guys to make it to at least one a week, when we do our weekly quizzes on our chapters here, let me go back to the syllabus here. There you can get a bonus point on each weekly quiz, so each chapter will do a quiz. Let me pull up our schedule again here. So we'll have a quiz over just generally 1 through 7. After Thursday, it'll be due by next Thursday or so. So if you attended an SI session, you'll get a bonus point on that quiz. When we talk about Chapter 6, we'll have a quiz available after we talk about it. It'll be due like a week after, so probably like 128 or so. You can get a bonus point for attending an SI session. I've got to look this. I might have 2 quizzes. I might only have 1 for Chapter 8. We'll look and see how that goes. But typically we'll have 1 quiz per chapter. Yeah, probably just 1 quiz for Chapter 8, 1 for 10, 1 for 11. I think it'll work like that. So if you've attended an SI session in that week or that 2-week block there, I can give you a bonus point on the quiz, which should help for you guys, which is cool. So that's your incentive to go to those sessions as well. Okay, let's go back to home. So do check those out. Hopefully one of those times works for you, whether or not Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We've got a couple different times out there. Hopefully you can make it, drop in. And what it was really cool is when our ASC manager, director, I forget exactly what her title was. I could go look it up here. She told me, hey, we've got someone who wants to SI for your class. I was super excited because like SIs get to pick and choose who they work for, or work with, I should say. So like, just because I teach here doesn't mean someone will SI for me. And she said they have data from our, what do we call it, institutional effectiveness. They're like I don't know, they do surveys and stuff and call people and look at all of our data and whatnot. But they said there is a statistically significant difference in GPA for students who attend SI sessions in courses that have SIs and students who don't attend, which I think makes sense, right? Because you're spending more time working on that class material. But it resulted in a statistically significant difference in GPA, which is super cool, right? Because people were getting more out of it, doing better on the projects, doing better on the exams, whatever, enough to change their GPA, bring it up. It was higher than people who didn't attend. So strongly encourage you to drop in on those sessions. And Tim, if I'm correct, they don't have to stay the entire hour, right? Ideally you're there for more than 5 minutes or something, but like if you can't make an entire hour, it's okay if you cut out after 45 minutes or so. I think that's perfectly fine. So like if you just drop in the last 5 minutes, I'm not going to be quite so likely to give you that bonus credit there. But so make an effort, attend what you can. I'm not going to say, oh, that was exactly 29 minutes and 30 seconds, and I don't think Tim wants to keep track of that as closely either. So as long as you're making it for a decent amount of one of those sessions in that week, you can get the bonus point. So hopefully that will work out well for you guys. I got an email last week from one of our longtime adjunct instructors, and she had said, oh, hey, everyone says you're doing great, but your assignments are harder. What can I do to make sure students are more prepared for your class moving forward? So it was sweet. It was a real nice email from her. She's an awesome adjunct of ours. I'm glad we have her working with us. But apparently my projects are harder, which I'm still trying to get some sort of level set and understand. I don't actually know what other people do. I'm still relatively new and haven't had a chance to hang out and watch other people. And so one of the things full-time faculty members get to do is drop in on adjunct faculty members when they teach to help evaluate. So I'm actually looking forward to that and seeing how other people teach, because I actually years ago took 2151 as a student, probably 2005 or 2006 when I took it, so like 15 years ago. Yeah, Scholar, I was surprised to hear that 1500. The projects were harder, but it's what it is. So I'm a big believer in the only way you get better at writing code and being a programmer is by writing code. And I feel like that's not a big surprise and like relatively logical, right? If you practice writing code, you'll get better at writing code. I had one instructor one time that I knew their big focus was on getting a certification because you can actually get like a Java developer certification through Oracle, and it's actually pretty cool, and all. But that shouldn't be the focus of the class, right? The focus of the class is should be you know how to write code and use these tools and techniques to solve problems. Getting a certificate is cool and all, but that should be secondary. But like their big focus was, here's what you need to do to prep for the certification exam. Here's how you answer these multiple choice questions to pass the certification exam. Let's practice these multiple choice questions and go over these multiple choice questions for the certification exam. And HTML cert in high school, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with certs, and definitely they're fine, but like that shouldn't be the focus. That's not my focus, at least. So that will be different. And now that I'm here full time, I have a little more say over that sort of stuff, which is cool. So, and I'm feeling a little bit bad maybe that I'm teaching both the only two 2151 sections, because sometimes it is helpful to have a different instructor with a different style to help you guys learn, help you fine folks learn things. But yeah, so I'm teaching both of them. We are due for a break, my friends, and my coffee cup is empty. I am sad. So why don't we take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about some of the tools, our intro project. I want to show you GitHub, how that works, and then we'll tee ourselves up to have more fun on Thursday. So why don't we take till about 11:10 or so. I can put some music back on. Spotify likes to run ads every now and then. I haven't figured out. I've got some MP3s from somebody I can run later, but for now we're doing this one. Oh, and I forgot to put on the current song list. Let me do that too. Let's see. Here we go. This way you can see the right song name here, so they get some credit. All right, let me flip over. We'll be back at 11:10 or so. It's 11. Nope, missed it. There we go. 11:10. We'll pick it back up. Hopefully, you got some coffee in hand.
spilled your drink? Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading value brand. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on food that's fresher than fresh? Then shop at Kroger. We give you more ways to save on the fresh you love with tools like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Personalize your health goals with the new Kroger Telenutrition program. Visit Kroger.com/dietitian for a free 50-minute virtual session with one of our experts.
If the new Oral-B IO electric toothbrush had a theme song, this would be it.
I think you're gonna wanna see this.
Only IO combines Oral-B's dentist-inspired round brush head with gentle micro-vibrations for a brushing experience even dentists have hailed as literally the best brush I've ever used. Get the wow of a professional clean feel every day with the new IO from Oral-B, the #1 brand used by dentists.
You're gonna see what everybody's talking about.
Oral-B, brush like a pro.
Alrighty, welcome back everybody. Hopefully you got a chance to get your coffee. Give that a pause here. Actually, we can probably shut that one down now. Try and avoid some lag if I can help it. Alright. So, our list of tools here. Hopefully you guys have used these before. NetBeans has a nice installer. If it can find the right Java version. I liked the way that we have things set up on the virtual desktop, so I try to be somewhat consistent. So I have a folder in here called OpenDev on my C drive. And that's where I put the NetBeans install, I put the JDK, and the JFX. If you put all those in the same place, it probably just makes life a little easier. NetBeans probably doesn't care too much. That one should launch from about anywhere, but if you can find your JDK and the JFX, you'll have some better luck. Dr. Baugh has some YouTube videos he has already recorded with a slightly older version, but the process is exactly the same for getting these things set up. We're not going to need the JFX until we get to the second half of the semester when we start doing some GUI programming. But if you want to set it up now, great. If you want to wait, that's no big deal. Either one's okay. So we'll need for sure the JDK and NetBeans. And then GitHub. So I'm going to show you how I set up my GitHub. This will not be the same thing you're going to do. Because what I'm going to do is give you a place for you to submit your GitHub username to me, and then I will make you a private repository that you have access to and I have access to. That's where you're going to put all of your code for the class. You will not email code files to me. You will not put code files in Desire to Learn. You will use a source control tool to manage your code files. And because GitHub is an online hosting provider, we'll be able to collaborate and I'll be able to see your code and life will be good. Okay, so I'm going to go to my GitHub and I'm going to make a new repository. Again, this is just for your purposes. You're welcome to make repositories for other things, but I do ask you don't put your code in public repositories where other people can see them, just to discourage people from trying to find and copy you and all that stuff. So, all right, I've got a bunch of repositories. That's all fine. You guys probably don't have that many because I make all mine for class. Do a new one here. There we go. So this is CIS 2151, and this is winter 2021, and this is Tuesday, Thursday. I might keep separate repositories for the Thursday class, just to keep things straight. Maybe I'll do it all in one. I'm going to do it all in one. So I'll just put everything here, and I'll just name your stuff Tuesday, Thursday. I'll name their stuff Thursday, and it should be fine. So I'm going to leave mine public so that you guys can go find my repository, and I don't have to add you guys individually with access and all that ugly stuff. So it's just public. So if you went out, you probably saw I had some other previous repositories already. if you had a chance to Google me and find me anywhere. I like having readmes. They're nice. It's a little markdown file you can edit. The git ignore is important. We want to ignore the Java type. This is a template here that says, don't add these particular files to GitHub because we don't need them. So typically the idea with source control is anything that you can generate. Like when you hit build and it will go build all of those class files for us, we don't commit those to GitHub because we don't need them, right? It's not the place where you go download your program and hit run. This is the place where the source code is kept. So we're going to ignore all of those, we call them build artifacts, and then a couple other things in there as well. And I'm going to license mine with the MIT open license because that's nice and easy and fast. If you want to license yours, you're welcome to it. You're welcome to not license yours. When you make your own repositories, I don't care. I'm going to make you private repositories that you and I have access to, and I won't add a license to it, right? After class, if you want, you're welcome to make your repository public. I can help you with that if you have any questions. Some people like having a GitHub profile. It's relatively common lately for people when you go apply for a programming job to say, here's my GitHub repo. These are the public things I have. Not everyone does it. So like, don't feel like you have to, but a lot of people do. And like, hey, here's some of the fun projects I did for school or whatever. I worked on this open source project or whatever. Right? Again, not required at all, but some people do that sort of thing. All right, so I've got a repository. I'm creating it here. The idea with GitHub is it's the central location where everyone talks to. Now, Git is a distributed source control system. It's a little bit different than some other source control systems, but that's okay. Don't need to worry too much about that, and none of our stuff is all that large, so it won't be a big deal. So what distributed means is that everyone has the entire copy of everything that's happened. And we are able to collaborate on this shared copy. So this is the main, the central repository, the origin. And we're going to have a copy of it locally. So I'm going to open up my GitHub client and I'm going to go find this repository. So this step you guys will do with your repository. You don't have one yet because I don't have your username and I haven't created them. We'll get to that. But you're going to go to File, Clone Repository, and 2151, enter 2021. You probably will only have one in the list. I, again, have lots. I'm going to search real quick. It takes a minute. It's not the fastest thing in the world, unfortunately. And it says, hey, where do you want to put it? I like the defaults because defaults are easy. So if you don't like defaults, change it. I don't care. It doesn't matter where it lives on your computer, but in mine, it'll be in my Documents GitHub folder. There it is. Okay, so I found the repository. So it's going to clone it to, or make this directory CIS 2151 winter 2021 in my GitHub folder. Good, I'm ready to clone. So what clone does is it makes a copy of all the things that were available on the origin in GitHub. There's not a whole lot. But if you want to see, your most useful button here in the menu is repository. I'm going to go to Show in Explorer. And in your view options, you want to make sure you have file name extensions and hidden items checked so you can see those things. Those are real common settings you're going to want. There's a hidden folder called .git. Don't touch that folder. That's where all the magic happens. There's a file named .gitignore. Gitignore, again, that's the template we got. It says anything that matches these things, star.class, star.log, star whatever, all these things will not get uploaded to GitHub. And NetBeans is actually going to be updating this file, which is great because NetBeans will say, hey, ignore this given stuff here. That's okay. There's the license file and a readme.md. That means it's a markdown file. Sure. That's all fine. So I have a folder here with the same name as my repository. All Git is just a glorified file watcher. So if we put a file in this folder, Git's going to say, oh, here, I see a new thing. So test.txt. Let's open that up and say, Happy Tuesday. Save and close. And now my GitHub client is going to say, oh, hey, there's a new thing. There's a new file called test.txt. It's green, or a plus here because it's a new file. And I can see line by line by line what's inside the file, which is really cool. If I'm happy with it, what I get to do is make a commit. So a commit is just a snapshot, a point in time of what that folder looked like. Once we have a commit, you can essentially always get back to it. It's really hard to screw that up. It's possible. You'd have to try really hard. So once you have that snapshot, once you have that commit, we can always go back to it, which is really cool. So this is test.txt, and you say commit. Now your local repository, your local copy knows about that change, knows about that commit, but github.com doesn't know about it. So what we have to do is we have to push that change out to the origin, push it out to GitHub. So we'll click the push button or the blue push button over here, and it's going to go sync with github.com. For you guys who are doing all of your work on a single computer, this is nice and easy. You're only ever going to have to push. If you work on multiple computers or if you work with multiple people, you'll have points in time where you'll have to pull changes from the central repository that you don't have, that you don't know about. We'll get to more of that later. And if I refresh the website, or if I go to repository view on GitHub, I should see, oh, hey, there's a new file now. Let's let that one load. Here's test.txt. And what's cool is these are all links. You can actually click on it and it will show you the text view of that file. Again, this was just a text file, not super interesting. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to repository, show in Explorer again, and I'm going to grab this path. So if you click in this breadcrumb area here, it'll highlight the whole path, Control-C for copy. Now I can open up NetBeans. And here's where it might lag a minute here. My computer was sad yesterday, and NetBeans slowed it down a little bit. So if it gets laggy for a minute, just bear with me. It should even out once we get up and running. Let's give it just a minute and see. And I'm going to drink some coffee while that loads, because NetBeans is not the fastest thing in the world. Although it is faster than Android Studio. Hey Dodo, happy Tuesday. Glad to have you along. Oh, and I should mention, I think it says there in my channel information here, but some people make money off of Twitch. I don't make money off of Twitch. I could, I guess, make money off of Twitch, but I don't have people sub or cheer or anything like that. But if you do, you're not giving me money because I have committed to donating all proceeds from Twitch to the scholarship fund over at U of M Dearborn. So please don't feel like I'm double dipping and trying to get additional money for streaming on Twitch. Oh, another posture check. Thank you. So just FYI, I'm not collecting any of the money, and I'm happy to show you my donation receipts and Twitch receipts if you're ever curious. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to game the system here. So anytime you guys want, I will be happy to show you my stream income and my donation receipts. And I've yet to make any money from Twitch, so I don't expect to. But I did have someone say, oh, hey, that's cool. I can throw my Twitch Prime sub at your channel and help fund the scholarship fund. And I thought that was cool. All right, in NetBeans, Dodo, no, we'll get to that object-oriented stuff in just a little bit here. We're still in the intro here. We'll get into classes and object-oriented stuff later. Another posture check. Oh, thank you. This thing is nice. Maybe I just stretch a little bit. Oh. Actually, I do have chronic back pain, which is unfortunate. So I've gotten some x-rays and stuff, and everything looked okay. I went to the chiropractor, and he helped me out for a while, and then the quarantine stuff happened, and I stopped going, and it started hurting again, and I was sad. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that and seeing what's going on. Chiropractor. Yeah. All right. Another dad joke. You got it. You got it. So I know the rules are changing here with our quarantine process and what's allowed and what's not allowed. And I think the latest guidelines here is that we're allowed to gather with groups of up to 8 people without any issues. Go check with Health and Human Services or whatever for specific ones. But I was thinking about that, and the problem I have, though, is I don't think I know 8 people who don't have issues. Yeah, felt like new after cracking. Let's see, another dad joke here? Okay. Ooh, here's a math one for you guys. You guys will like this one. I don't understand why some people use fractions instead of decimals. It's pointless. All right, there you go. You can take that one to your math class. Math teachers love math jokes, I've noticed. Like, nothing is better than a math joke for math teachers for some reason. All right, so I'm going to start a new project here in NetBeans. And remember, I had copied that path here from my GitHub directory. So what I'm going to do is I want a new Java with Ant, Java application. This is the nice, basic, easy one here. We'll get to the Java FX stuff later, don't worry. And it says, what do you want to call it? Again, I'm just going to do a hello world for now. That's fine. And I'm going to change this location. So I'm going to paste in with Control V, paste, or you can click browse and go find it manually. I'm going to put this project inside of my GitHub directory. Okay, if I put it inside the directory, I'm all set, off to the races, ready to go. So I'm going to hit finish. It's going to think about it for a minute, make a bunch of files. And as long as I started it here, it's going to show up in GitHub because GitHub says, oh, hey, I see some new stuff inside. Remember, it's a glorified file watcher. All it does is watch for files to show up inside of that folder. And it's magic. Linus Torvald, I believe, is his name. The founder of Linux, is the one who created Git as a source control system because he said he could do better than the other tools that we had. And he did. Git is phenomenal. Strongly encourage you to spend some time with it. It feels a little scary at first. Yeah, GitHub has tons of options. We're not going to use most of them. We're pretty much just doing straight commits, but they have a whole learning guide that you guys can check out. So desktop.github.com. I think there's a link from here. Is it under help or is it? It might be under help. That's installing. It's just guides.github.com. Might just be guides.github.com. Yeah, here you go. So if you want to know more information about GitHub, this guides.github.com is a great place to go. Yeah, you can definitely, if you have an edu address, you can sign up for the student developer pack and get all sorts of goodies, which is cool. Again, it depends how much time you want to put into it, but here we go. So they've got a bunch of good stuff out here. Ooh, I should post that in the Discord too. I will do that. Look at that. Gamer Professor, someone said. So I don't stream any games that I play. I don't know. I'm not sure if anyone had any interest in actually watching me play games. And I'm still working on my very first playthrough of Skyrim, believe it or not. I started in 2019. I don't have a lot of time to play games, but I try occasionally to get a game in here or there. So where do we go? Okay, so our project here anyway. Hydrate, yes, thank you. More coffee. Yeah, it's relatively straightforward, and I'll talk you through it, and it'll take some practice to get used to GitHub. But if we come to the GitHub client, we should see there's a bunch of stuff. So git ignore, see it's in orange or yellow, it's been changed. It's not a new file, but it's saying, hey, ignore anything in this folder, which is good. That's the private folder that NetBeans creates. We don't need any of that stuff in that folder to get committed to GitHub. We're not going to do anything with authentication and secrets and tokens and whatnot, but you don't want to commit that sort of stuff to GitHub, especially a public repository. Someone made the mistake one time of adding their AWS key and password, or however that all worked, to GitHub, and there are literally bots out there trawling, watching GitHub repositories for stuff like that, and they grabbed it, and by the time he woke up in the morning, he had a $30,000 bill from Amazon because they spun up a bunch of servers and were mining Bitcoin or whatever crap they do if they find your keys. So GitHub has actually been a little bit proactive. They'll try and monitor for that sort of stuff and say, hey, you probably didn't mean to do that, but don't rely on that. So like, don't put passwords in code. That's just a pretty straightforward rule there. Just don't do it. Right? We've got other tools, and there's not anything we're going to get into, but don't add passwords to code. There's a bunch of other files. We don't care, right? These are all NetBeans files, projects files, XML files, whatever. What we care about is the hello world. Oh, of course, there's bots looking for all sorts of things. Yeah. If people can make a quick buck, they're going to do it, unfortunately. So here is the plain text of that .java file, the hello world file. Fantastic. And it's all here. So again, you need a commit summary. You have to have a summary. So this is hello world project started. I like these to be meaningful. Like they should tell what's happening. Some people think that they should put funny messages in there or be silly. I mean, honestly, I don't care, but you should just get into a habit of using good messages. This description box, you can put all sorts of additional information in. I almost never use it, right? I just don't. So just a commit summary and you're fine. You say commit, and then your button up here changes from fetch to push, right? To say, oh, you have the change locally, but we don't have it on github.com yet. We'll go push. And then again, either repository view on GitHub or just go refresh. For you guys, you're going to have to be logged into the web browser because it's a private repository. So if it says, oh, can't find this thing, you probably just need to log in, don't worry. So I'm just going to refresh my page. And here's Hello World. So if it's a text file, remember we could click it to open it. If it's a folder, we can click it to open it. Right? We see those XML files, MF files, whatever. We care about that source folder. Right? That's our source package. So source Hello World. Here's hello world.java. You can see the .java code. Posture check. Thank you. I have terrible posture, and it's actually difficult to like sit straight up because I hit my head. This is my son's old loft bed. When he got too big and started hitting his head, when he'd wake up in the morning, he decided he didn't want it anymore. But it's got a nice desk built in, and I just took the room for my office, and it works out pretty well for me. Anyway, when you turn stuff into Desire to Learn, you're going to give me a URL. This is all I need from you when you turn in your projects, so I can go find your code on github.com. That's all you're going to have to give me. Okay? That way you don't have to attach Java files. I don't have to load Java files and download them and build projects and whatnot. If you put your NetBeans project in here, I can just clone your repository and open it by going to NetBeans and saying open project. It makes my life easier. And I don't know if you've noticed, but making the person who grades your stuff and evaluates your stuff, making their life easier to do that is always a good thing. Always a good thing, right? I'll give you rubrics for all the projects. So like, I'm not just going to take points off because you upset me and you irritated me. You'll know exactly how you're going to get your points because you'll have a rubric there. But just in general, don't make it harder for someone to evaluate you and score you and give you a grade, right? You want to make that as smooth and easy as possible. And that's why I love GitHub. Okay. There is an option here in GitHub called add file. Don't use this. Please don't use this button. Don't upload stuff. Okay, don't use the button. Just don't do it. Use the GitHub client, put stuff in the folder, let it do the syncing. Right? I promise you, once you figure it out, it'll be so much easier. Trying to manually upload stuff is just as bad as emailing files around, and it's terrible. Okay, trust the tool. People use this all across the world now. It's Git is, I want to say now, the industry standard. There's still some people who use SVN and other stuff. You can use branches if you want, Biggie. I would rather just have it all in main here. It's easier to see everything all at once. And then honestly, I can get confused if I go looking for it and I check main and it's not in the main branch. It might confuse me. But if you really want to, go for it. I'm not going to care too much. As long as you give me the right link, because you can link right to your branch, you're fine. And for everyone else who doesn't know what a branch is, don't worry about it. You can go read the GitHub documentation. I'm not going to bother with it with you guys. So good practice. We just don't have enough time for it, and it's beyond what we need to do. All right, so there's my project. Anyway, now I want to go fix this, right? So I need a print line. Now remember, good developers are lazy. Lazy in a good sense, in that we don't want to do more work than we need to do, and we want the tool to do as much work for us as we can. So I'm not going to type system.out.println. Oh, I just did type it here and put in quotes, right? And say hello world. That's the slow way, right? The fast way, remember, is if you type s out and then hit tab, it does the rest for you. Hello faster. Okay? And now, for some reason, I still haven't figured out why my NetBeans hates me, and I have to go to my project properties, and under compiling, I have to uncheck this compile and save option. I really should spend some more time Googling and trying to figure it out. I spent like 5 minutes and got frustrated and just, fine, I can do this workaround once per project. Once I do that, now it runs perfectly fine for me. Otherwise, it doesn't actually compile before I hit run, and I'm so confused. But that's okay. We have a decent workaround. So with all this stuff, eventually I'll get my Hello World project. Here we go. Hello World, hello faster. And use those shortcuts, use those tools. I love it. And now when I go back to the GitHub client, remember, it's a glorified file watcher. What it's good at, I'm pretty sure I do save. Like, I've got the bad habit of hitting Control S all the time. Yeah, I can probably help you with that, sweet tea, if we want to set up a screen sharing session sometime. But if you've got it working on the laptop, that's great. So at the file level, right, we see, hey, this line was added. We see, oh, hey, some lines were added here. We see this line in red was removed. These lines in green were added. So down to the file level, it tracks it. Right? Yeah, I do control save so much, control S, that like I'll do it randomly when I'm in a web browser. Just for reasons. Like in the I save often because I'm paranoid about losing stuff. And that's the great thing about GitHub, is that once github.com has your code, like their business literally is storing people's code. It's very, very, very unlikely that they'll lose it. Right? We're not paying for it. We're using their free tier service, but they make their money by storing people's code. So put your code out there in the cloud, the github.com, someone else's computer cloud, and it will be stored and safe for you. So, but you can see line by line what changed and what's really cool. So I'll say now printing hello world, and I'll commit and push. It's always commit and push. So what you're going to do before you turn your code in, you're going to give me that link on github.com. And if you don't see the latest and greatest code, maybe you didn't push and you got to refresh. So that's another reason you giving me a URL is really handy, because it's a quick sanity check for you. So right now this is the old version. I just got to refresh. And let's take a peek. Now I have the right stuff. So this one looks like it has everything here. And I can see, oh, hey, it was last changed 21 seconds ago. This also, by the way, if you submit work and then you go change it after the fact, it's all time-stamped. I mean, you can delete commits, Biggie. There's ways to do it. We're just not. But Git lets you do all sorts of naughty things if you really want to spend the time on it. We're just not going to do that. So yeah, once you've got the commit, you basically have it forever. There are ways to break it, but you have to try really hard. But I can see the history here, and ooh, hydrate. Thank you, Snake. More coffee. Got a coffee emote that I love. I commissioned somebody to do some emotes for me. So I can go to history here, and I can see all the different commits that changed this file, which is cool. And you can go back and you can see the individual commit itself, and you can see what happened. Oh, hey, this is what changed in that file, which is great, because it's easy to forget what happens, right? You know, from yesterday to today to whatever. It's easy. Bitbucket, yeah. I mean, they're a fine provider too. You're not stuck using the Microsoft version, but so yeah. So if you turn something in and then you go make commits to the file later, I'm probably going to notice. And my policy for that is I will just go back in history and look at the file before the due date and use that version when I grade it. So please don't try and make changes after the fact, after I've gone over a solution. And then I'll probably just accuse you of cheating anyway. And then we'll have to have words. So, right, once you turn it in, just leave it. You know, I know occasionally, like, you could add a white space and, like, you know, like you by mistake you were changing this, going to another project, you got another new line. That's fine. Like, I'm not going to complain if you have a blank line in here. But if you go and change your entire project to make it correct, if you had problems with it before, we're going to have some words. Okay? All right, cool. So we got our project, we got our hello world, got that out, we got it on GitHub. So what you guys can also do is go check out this repository. So I'm going to add a link to it here in D2L for you guys. And all of the code examples that I do in class will go out to the github.com repository. I'm not going to attach Java files to D2L because that's stupid. Code doesn't belong in D2L, right? They're code files. So let me create a link. This is the course GitHub repository. Now, and you technically can go and make a clone of my repository because it's public and you can have your own copy of it. I don't recommend it because it will get out of sync very quickly. And because it's my repository and not yours, you can't save your changes to it and push them out. So if you make changes, it's going to take it out of sync and then it'll be hard for you to refresh it. So what's probably easier for you guys is to just go look at the Java file and you can do a copy paste. Like if you want a particular piece of it here. To do copy pasting, I suggest you use this raw button here. The Minecraft door. My kids are all running around upstairs, so you're probably hearing some of that. Sorry, Snake. If you click the raw button, you get a really nice, easy, just text view here. And then Control A for highlighting everything, Control C for copy, come over to NetBeans, Control V for paste. Just be careful of your class names and package names. Remember, those do need to match in Java. Your class name must match the name of the .java file, and the package must match the folder that it's in. So Hello World is in a folder named Hello World, right, in my code. So there's the Hello World project in source. There's the Hello World package. That's just a directory. Here's the .java file itself. Okay. I used to have an office in the basement, and it was a little bit quieter, but then I didn't have a nice window. I didn't have a lot of sunlight. I've got those little like glass block windows, so they only let in a little bit of light, and it's always colder in the basement, especially in the winter semester. That's really sad. So I like to be warm, although I'm not even wearing my jacket, but I could do that later. Okay. Cool. So that's Hello World. I'm done with NetBeans for now. That's the raw content. I think we're on pretty good track to be done. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, the dark theme. I'm so glad. I wish D2L... Does D2L have a dark theme? I don't think they do, which is sad, but that's okay. Let's see. All right, that's our course introduction. Go install the tools if you haven't yet. On Thursday when we meet, we'll do a quick review. Oh, an extension, okay. Over chapters 1 through 7, just breezing through all these things, pulling out a couple highlights, stuff that I think was important that you might not want to have missed from 1500. And again, there was no guarantee that people went right from CIS 1500 into 2151. Sometimes you take semesters off or over the summer or whatever happens, so it'll be a quick little refresher. And then I'll talk about your first project 0. That's just getting your GitHub client set up, making sure you can do a project slightly more than Hello World, but nothing super fancy at all. And that one will be due next week. So this is the only one you're not going to have 2 weeks on to work on. So that one will be quick. I just want to make sure your tools are up and running so that you can be successful moving forward. Other than that, I think we're all set. Please do reach out. I miss seeing people in person and being able to talk and walk around the room and help you with things. This remote learning stuff is hard. Right? My job here is to help you learn. I don't really like to say that my job is to teach you, because it's not. Right? You guys are learning this material. I'm just here helping you learn it. I'm going to give you examples. You can use the book. You can look at those things. Finding stuff online can be difficult just because it's not always as specific to what we're doing. So I usually like to say, if you're stuck on your project, right, spend at least 30 minutes to an hour trying to get unstuck, right? Looking up your resources, trying different things, changing things, debugging, whatever. But after about an hour, you're getting frustrated, and you're probably going to be upset that I gave you a project that's making you frustrated. Just reach out. Most of the time you can get a hold of me relatively quick, and I can get you unstuck. I had someone tell me they were like up all night long, 8 hours straight, and they only got like 5 lines of code done in that 8 hours, and that was just made me sad, because it's a big waste of time. It makes you frustrated, it ruins your day, it makes you mad at me when it took me 30 seconds to say, oh, here's your problem. Right? So, do spend a little bit of time, but then please reach out. I'm here to help. I do give help on projects. Right? The goal is that we've talked about the material. There's resources in the book that you'd have the tools to solve it. Right? And I'm happy to help point you in the right direction. I'm not going to write the code for you, but if you get stuck on something, I can help you debug it. I can help you, give you some pointers, some design ideas, and we can go through that. Yeah, this definitely goes fast, and I drink a lot of coffee. I talk quick, so please feel free to interrupt me, chat me, add me in Twitch chat or whatever. I'm always going to say, hey, can you send me your code in GitHub? Right? Can you show me your code in GitHub? Is it current in GitHub? So that's why this first project is getting GitHub up and running. So I've got the drop-in office hours. I have a doctor's appointment, so I'm going to miss the first little bit of my office hours, and then I do have an appointment already. So you're always welcome to schedule appointments with me, and I'll reserve that time. But typically we can do drop-in, but I do book appointments during those hours for office hours, so sometimes I'm not available immediately. So you can always double check. And then if none of those times work, I'm relatively flexible. Most of the time it's late at night after the kids are in bed. So like after 8 or 9 p.m., I'm relatively free to chat with people. and help you out with stuff. So yeah, I think that's it. So I'll post something later. So for Project Zero, you'll have to give me your github.com username. We'll go through all that, signing up on Thursday. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So should be a lot of fun in winter 2021. Hopefully we're getting a little bit better at this remote learning stuff, and it's not quite so terrible. But it's rough. I get that it's rough. So reach out, let me know how things are going. I literally had almost half of my students drop in the fall semester, and it was just sad. You know, I had to drop my class. I get that things come up, but like if it's just not clicking, please let me know. Like if you have other reasons for dropping, you know, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to try and convince you to stay, but if you just feel like you're not getting it, please let me know, because that's my job here to help you guys learn it, and I'll do what I can. Don't forget, we do have a study session today. Not a whole lot of like course content to talk about, but it'd be good to do some rehashing of chapters 1 through 7 or whatever, getting your tools set up using NetBeans and whatnot. So that's today at 4, tomorrow at 6, and then Thursday at 4 again. We're going to meet again Thursday. I should be live most days. Again, not the midterm exam day, and probably not the presentations day. But other than that, I'll try and be here on Twitch to be live so you guys can ask questions. And I do have, in case you're not a big fan of typing in chat, in Discord, there is a lecture voice chat channel. So the lecture voice chat channel, I've got available. Let me know if you're interested. I can pop in there and you guys can just talk at me as if we were in person. The only problem is there is the slight delay with the Twitch broadcasting, but it should work relatively well in case you want to ask questions over voice instead of having to chat them to me. I probably need to get my headset working, because otherwise it's just going to come over the speakers and then everyone will hear it, and then because of the delay it might be a little funny for everybody. So we'll try it and see if that works well, but if not, most people seem to be pretty good at using the Twitch chat. Yeah, this is the second programming course in our track Dodo. So we'll take the intro to programming course that we did in the fall, I taught in the fall, and this is the second one for our part 1, part 2 track. All right, I think that's all then. Someone posted, and IntelliJ using up all their CPU and memory. Oof, yeah. I mean, NetBeans is a hog too, but let's see, what's my task manager? Oh, I closed NetBeans, never mind. It's not even showing. We can look another time. All right, so if you guys don't have anything else, we'll call it a day. I'm going to archive this over to YouTube later. That'll be available. I like the Twitch VODs because you can see chat, and it makes a little bit more sense when I just randomly answer questions. But YouTube does the closed captioning if you're interested in that as well, so that works well. They actually do a really good job with closed captioning. I'm surprised. Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Thanks, one. You guys take care. Don't forget to stay hydrated. All right. Oh, we should see, is anyone else online? Let me see if there's anyone else around. Oh, I forgot to give a shout out to my friends at the Knowledge Fellowship. That's another reason I am streaming. That's !TKF there in Twitch chat, if you're curious. There's all sorts of educational streamers online. Not all college classes, just some people who are passionate about whatever they do and they want to share their information. It's really cool. So you can learn a lot of stuff out there. So maybe I'll take you over to one of our friends there just for fun. The Twitch raids are just part of the silliness of being here on Twitch. Can be fun. Totally optional. So let's go see if we can find, I think it's RWX Rob. Yeah, he's doing some cool stuff. I think he's online. So he's a nice guy. We'll head over that way and do a Twitch raid for fun. So I'll see you guys over there. Let's see. Make sure I can hit the right buttons. Yep. All right. See you guys now. Later.
YouTube, I should probably give credit to them.